The state's political landscape is shuffling with the new congressional map and the political fallout of the Chicago Park District sex abuse scandal. All this and much more are the focus of this week's Spotlight Politics. And joining us this week are Heather Cherone and special guest Tony Arnold from WBEZ. Amanda Vinicky and Brandis Friedman, of course, off tonight. Tony, welcome. Let's start with that new congressional map where anti-Trump Congressman Adam Kinzinger announced he would not run again for the House. Take a look.
I cannot focus on both a re-election to Congress and a broader fight nationwide. I want to make it clear, this isn't the end of my political future, but the beginning.
Tony Arnold, if it's just the beginning of his political future, what does his future entail?
Well, certainly it's conceivable that he's aiming to run for higher office. What that office is anyone's guess and fun to speculate. Is he looking at running statewide here? We have Illinois governor up for election in 2022. We have the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Tammy Duckworth up for election next year. Secretary of State, I don't know. Or is he looking beyond Illinois and looking to run, nationally in a few years? I think we just don't know right now. What we know is that he's made himself a name as being a Republican who is anti-Trump, and whether he wants to be defined by that or not, he's certainly acting like he wants to be. That's where he is within the party. And he's also, he's shown himself to be a formidable fundraiser in this time of being in this status and taking on Trump. And so I could see him keeping that federal campaign open and fundraising that way and going that route. Right. I could also see him running statewide next year.
He's got this political action committee called Country First, which supports Republicans or middle-of-the-road candidates that don't want to go the direction of Trump. Heather Cherone, we had this election last night. The Virginia governor, a Republican, won there. The New Jersey Democrat barely won. I don't know. Do you think that plays into Kinzinger's calculation or anyone else's calculation? You could look at that Virginia. Sorry, I was just going to say you could look at that Virginia race saying, it wasn't really a Trumpy Republican that won, and maybe that's a sign the party doesn't rely on him.
Yeah, I got a couple texts from people saying that Glenn Youngkin, who will be the next governor of Virginia, reminded them of Bruce Rauner, who was, of course, Illinois' last Republican governor. He was a hedge fund guy who tried to moderate on some social issues while promising to improve the economy and focusing on jobs. And that is clearly, if there is an anti-Trump or at least a non-fully embraced Trump path in Illinois, blue states like Illinois, then that's what it's going to be. I'm not convinced that there is that path, but we will have to see, because right now, everybody running for the Republican nomination for Illinois governor is fully on board with Donald Trump. So we'll have to see if that changes.
All right, well, let's move on to the Chicago Park District scandal. Two reports outlined sex abuse at Chicago Park District pools and beaches. Former Park District Superintendent Mike Kelly is out, and the interim boss, Rosa Escareno, said she was, quote, stunned and horrified by what the investigations found. Take a look.
You read the reports. One of the really sad things for me is that these women tried to do the right thing, and it went unheard. The ball got dropped at several levels.
We have to credit Tony Arnold, your colleague Dan Mihalopoulos, for a lot of great investigative reporting that brought this to light. Heather, Mike Kelly, the former CEO, is gone. Any other heads to roll here?
Yes. Rosa Escareno announced she had fired 3 of the Park District's top supervisors. She said that they did not follow the Park District's rules in handling those complaints. However, this is an ongoing investigation. There is still a lot we don't know. We do know that the interim inspector general found corroboration for complaints of harassment, abuse, and assault from 4 teenage lifeguards. But there's more to come, and it's not clear whether other people who helped steer the Park District during this time, whether they will be held to account for their role as well.
And it's not just the Park District, it's a messy situation there, but a messy situation at Loretto Hospital after all that reporting, starting with Block Club on those shots that were given to the rich and famous and ineligible folks that were connected to Tony. Could criminal charges come from this, or just a fine for the hospital? What do you think?
Well, we know that federal investigators have issued subpoenas to the Illinois Department of Public Health, and so while plenty of criminal investigations are opened and not necessarily don't necessarily result in charges, is it conceivable that they're looking at there were some of the people who received these vaccinations and cut in line, basically proof that they weren't eligible, and that Loretto basically was using these vaccinations to get clout or to reward their friends? That's possible. What the crimes are, I'm not sure. And so, I think the subpoenas are a good indication that if you're at Loretto, it's time to get a lawyer.
And we should mention that the Chicago Department of Public Health and Mayor Lightfoot did their own sort of investigation into it, I think, and nothing much came of it, and they kind of clapped their hands and moved on. Let's move on ourselves to the casino situation here. Mayor Lightfoot is holding a full house, so to speak, with 5 casino proposals submitted. Does it mean that a big casino resort in Chicago is a sure bet?
I don't think so. We don't really have any details about where these casinos will go, except we know that one is proposed for the so-called 78 development, which is south of the South Loop and in between Chinatown. Also, there seem to be several proposals for McCormick Place, as well as at least one for the Chicago Tribune printing plant just off Chicago Avenue there. And it is unclear whether any of those will be acceptable to the mayor. And this is something that has to get through city council. Now, the casino is expected to generate somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 million for Chicago's police and fire pensions. So it's a lot of money at stake, but a lot of aldermen want to see this casino somewhere other than downtown to help breathe new life into neighborhoods that have faced just decades of disinvestment.
And Tony Arnold, is this kind of development a win for state coffers too, or is it just kind of reshuffling the deck when we've got new casinos coming online in the suburbs? You've already got Rivers, you've got Aurora, you've got Elgin. Does it just kind of maintain the status quo?
No, the state would definitely get a cut of the tax revenue from the Chicago casino, as you mentioned, as part of that gambling expansion package that passed in 2019. The suburbs would get some more new casinos. Sports betting's already online here in the state and is already rolling in money for the state. So, I was looking at earlier, Rivers Casino in the suburbs, north suburbs here, it does far and away the most amount of business in the state. And, the state gets $200 million.
Could the Chicago one cannibalize that one? And we should mention Rivers has 2 proposals for Chicago.
Absolutely, it could, because the Chicago casino is not just a casino. It has the potential to be a mega casino. It could be one of the biggest casinos in the whole country. Not necessarily the biggest, but when they passed it, they set it up in a way that potentially there could be more seats, chairs to go sit down and bet at a table than almost anywhere else in the country. That's, we'll see what the final proposal is. We'll see what gets accepted, where that goes. But they're looking at, absolutely, they could cannibalize some of what's being added. Obviously, that's a concern, but the legislators passed on, and Waukegan's still moving forward with getting its casino. The south suburbs are doing theirs, and they're clearly targeting Northwest Indiana here to take back the people who travel across state lines to go gamble.
Right, and there's new casinos in Northwest Indiana. So if it's the biggest casino, one of the biggest casinos in the country, I wonder if that means it'll have the most Elvis impersonators or the biggest Wayne Newton show or Elton John with the red piano. We'll see. The mind wanders. All right, we're out of time. Our thanks to Heather and Tony. Thanks so much.